Morning. It's Thursday, September 10th, and the month of September seems to be streaking along just like all the other months. But I'll tell you what's not streaking along. Covid-19 vaccine. AstraZeneca had to put its operation on hold because one of its trial participants has come down with a strange illness, and they don't know what it is exactly. So, this whole hullabaloo about we will have a vaccine by election day cannot be trusted. See, in the vaccine world, many things can happen. And the drug companies have categorically said that many things can happen. And they have also pledged not to rush this vaccine through. So here we are, AstraZeneca, that's an Oxford University in England operation, and sure enough, there's been a glitch, and they have halted the trials. Does any one of us who has a reasonable thought process in their head believe that we will have a vaccine by election day? With everything that is required to produce a vaccine? Absolutely not. It's a fantasy. It's a dream world that we're going to have a vaccine by election day. It would be wonderful if it happened, but you can't count on it. And that's the problem. That is the problem with the human body, and that is the problem with disease. We don't know what the next variation of COVID is going to be. And we don't know how effective our vaccine will really be after trial and error and trial and error. So don't put your hopes on this election day resolution to the problem. And I'll tell you something. You can expect a big spike in the next couple of weeks because the colleges were open and we had Labor Day weekend. And there were parties all over the place. All over these campuses, there were parties. So we don't know what's going to happen. And while some of these children who were partying are confined to the college campus, some of them may elect to go home and spread the disease. And speaking of spreading the disease, it is estimated that 250,000 people are going to be infected by COVID-19 because of the assholes that had that rally in Sturgis, South Dakota, where 250,000 people showed up on their motorcycles and rode around town, congregating without masks, and everybody was happy, very happy, but these people went home. So you got 200,000 possible carriers who have gone back to their hometowns and may, in fact, be infecting one person for everybody that was at that rally. Does that make any sense to you? Did it make any sense to anybody that they allowed this rally to go on? Did they think that because you live in South Dakota, you're immune? Let's see what the spike is there. I'm sure if they're predicting 250,000 cases, they have some evidence to prove that. So all in all, the vaccine by election day, the actions of the people in this country and possibly around the world do not indicate a future victory over this disease in the near future. And election day is certainly in the near future. So let's not get our hopes too high. Let's pay attention to what we should be doing. Now, the CDC issued a whole bunch of instructions on how to go and vote and be careful in polling places. But they changed their position on being in close contact with a person with the COVID-19 infection. The position used to be, go get tested. Now they say, if you've been in contact with somebody for 15 minutes, but do not have symptoms, You do not necessarily need a test unless you are a vulnerable individual. Now, let me tell you something. They say everybody over 60 is a vulnerable individual. But many of us over 60 feel great. We don't consider ourselves vulnerable. So we might not choose to take a test. What's the definition of a vulnerable person? Somebody who's ill, somebody who's suffering from some form of illness like diabetes, or heart disease, or arthritis, or hypochondria. Is hypochondria a disease? Or just any one of those diseases that occur in the course of growing older? Maybe you have trouble breathing occasionally. So I don't know what a real vulnerable person is, and I guess it's up to the individual to decide that they're vulnerable or not. But to change the rule from always going to get a test to it's up to you to get a test. A lot of people don't want to go get tested, especially the horrible stories about what happens in your nose and all of that stuff. And really and truly, the only way to identify who has COVID, asymptomatic or otherwise, is testing. So why are we abandoning testing? Is it because we really don't have enough tests? Or is it because somebody doesn't want us all testing? What is the real reason behind the change in the rules? Is it an imposition for people to go get tested? Or do we want to just fill the hospital beds? It's a form of insanity to keep changing the rules without having real facts to give the public. Dr. Redfield, who's the head of the CDC, said that changing the guidelines puts an emphasis on testing people with symptoms. Of course you want to test the people with symptoms, but everybody isn't the same. Everybody who might get a sniffle or something doesn't react the same way. So everybody should get tested because you never know for sure that your sniffle is not a symptom or not. Why change the rules? Why change the rules? The rule should be, you definitely gotta be tested. Fartig. Genug. That's all I'm gonna say this morning. I'll see you tomorrow.